Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Slasher Club, where there's no measure to terror and entertainment. Ladies and gentlemen, if you guys haven't figured it out yet, we are doing the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the very first silent killer. And again, we have Derek here with us, who will be giving you the intro and the synopsis in 3, 2, 1, now.
Okay, so basically in the intro, we have a news report on 5 deaths, one being within the count of Sally, who is apparently a survivor of this so-called massacre. And it just talks about what had happened throughout the movie before the movie even starts. And then we get a view of a group of 5 friends in a van who are driving to a house one of their friends has owned. And that's basically the beginning. The synopsis is basically a group of friends stumbles upon a family of cannibals who are out for their next meal while they are out on vacation. And I don't know what else to say about this plot.
Correction, they actually weren't on vacation, they were just going to find their grandfather or father's house, and they end up in a huge pot of water.
Exactly.
It was directed by Tobe Hooper, produced by Kim Henkel, Tobe Hooper, Jay Parsley, and Richard Sanze. It was written by Kim Henkel and Tobe Hooper. Music by Wayne Bell and Tobe Hooper. There's going to be a lot of Tobe Hooper in this. Cinematography by Daniel Pearl. It was filmed at 901 Country Road, 336 Granger, Texas, which it's actually now a very well done restaurant, which anyone can go visit, which I recommend, even though I've never actually been there. Marilyn Burns is Sally Hardsey, and keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, these actors were actually just commercial actors from all over Houston. They were very unknown throughout the country. We have Alan Danziger as Jerry. We have Paul A. Partain as Franklin Hardsey. We have William Vale as Kirk. Terry McMinney as Pam. Edwin Neal as the Hitchhiker, also known as Nubbins Sawyer. Jim Hydal as the proprietor, or however the hell you say that, Drayton Sawyer, also I guess you could say the father. Gunnar Hansen as the famous Leatherface Sawyer, which, if anyone noticed, I am actually wearing a somewhat well-done Leatherface mask, which I'll be wearing for most of the series. We have John Duggan as Grandpa Sawyer, and last but not least, John Larquette as narrator. Onto the gore score.
Okay, the gore score. I counted a total of 5 confirmed deaths in the movie, but I also counted a few side deaths, which were an armadillo on the road and 2 corpses sitting on a monument.
Well, I wouldn't really call those as deaths, since they were basically just dug up corpses.
Well, anyway, the 5 confirmed deaths are Kirk killed by Leatherface. Jerry axed by Leatherface. Pam found in I think it's a freezer box. Franklin, oh poor Franklin, chainsawed by Leatherface, and the hitchhiker is run over by a truck.
Thank God. On to favorite kill, which, for me, I have to say, was Kirk gets bludgeoned with a sledgehammer, which, as I mentioned to my cousin last night, he should really keep in mind the whole story that Franklin's telling about how they bludgeon a cow's head in with a hammer, which I guess you could say in this point, Kirk is the cow, which honestly, this is my favorite because you just watch him squirm around as in the background you hear nothing but, I believe, squawking or squealing from a pig, and you're just watching after Kirk is just laying on the ground, shaking, basically having a seizure after having his brains bashed in with a sledgehammer, and it's just masterfully done. What about you?
My favorite kill has to be the hitchhiker getting run over because I just find it highly ironic.
Anything else?
Well, the reason I find it ironic is that the hitchhiker originally was picked up by this group of friends simply because, well, he had nowhere to go, or he was just trying to lure them into his family's home. And as the hitchhiker, I find it ironic simply because he gets killed by a vehicle. That's really all I find ironic about it.
Alright, and on to least favorite kill, which, for me, I'm gonna have to say, I'm sorry, but it has to be Franklin is sawed in the literal dark. I mean,
oh, poor Frankie.
Honestly, you don't even see anything from this kill except Leatherface coming out of nowhere with the chainsaw, and it's completely dark. I get they wanted to get like a PG rating instead of an R, but this was going way too far. I mean, even if they were going for like a Psycho kind of kill, they did it right, but even nowadays, it just looks dated, and a lot of us, I'm pretty sure, are used to seeing the gory, bloody kills, where here, it's just, they blacked out the best parts of this kill. It's just, it's basically worse than doing it off screen. It's just, you can't see anything. What about you?
My least favorite kill has to be Jerry's. Jerry getting axed by Leatherface doesn't really seem all that entertaining or amusing. It's just kind of a boring, unoriginal kill, since it's just a basic weapon that he uses to kill off Jerry.
Correction, it was actually a sledgehammer.
It was?
Yeah.
Oh, it looked like an axe to me.
But
well, either way, it was a pretty boring kill in my eyes.
On to the rest of the facts. There was a budget of $80,000 to $140,000. There was a box office of $30.9 million. When it was released, it was actually banned in several countries due to violence. Which I don't even really see the violence that much in this movie. Well,
for the first slasher film of its time, it kind of did seem a little violent.
Being that it came after Psycho, and Psycho was mostly in the theaters most of the time, and there was violence, I just find it very stupid. I mean, yeah, it's supposed to be one of the goriest, well-known horror movies. It's just, it seems very tamed. And this is the second time I've watched this movie. Was the original hulking, faceless killer that... This is actually the movie that Michael Myers is based on, Jason's based on. They basically used this whole movie as inspiration and made it completely better. Leatherface was inspired by Ed Gein, and he is a semi-well-known killer who basically... He was a cannibal, to be honest. He was a cannibal, and a lot of the times he used the bodies of anyone he caught as furniture, and it was just gruesome.
Bone chilling.
His chainsaw was... Honestly, it has nothing to do with this. The chainsaw, Tobe Hooper basically just was walking in a department store in the tool area in front of a wall of chainsaws, and he just figured, what could help me get through a crowd faster? Chainsaw. And that's how Leatherface's weapon was born. Originally called Head Cheese, as, I guess, kind of a big reveal for that whole talk about head cheese and how it's supposed to taste good. Leatherface was also inspired by Houston criminal Elmer Wayne Henley, which I've never heard of him at all. Supposedly, he captured a bunch of young men claiming that he was going to have sex with them and then killed them. And the weird part is, he actually came clean and admitted all of it without a fight. And he admitted he enjoyed it. I mean, that is...
He's proud of it.
He was. And I'm just amazed this sociopath was just the nicest criminal ever. He basically gave up. And that's what we have for Leatherface. That's basically what they wanted to do. Give one of the characters like a sympathetic sociopath kind of gene. When it said at the beginning that what you are about to see is true, it was actually a response to being lied to by the government about Watergate, the Vietnam War crimes, and other events that happened during that time. It was basically a message to the government from Tobe Hooper. The cast was forced to work in 95 to 100 degree weather in unwashed costumes, especially, especially Gunnar Hansen, because they were afraid if they washed the costume, all the blood and all the makeup would just run down or get washed off. So he had it the worst. Was shot using an Eclair NPR 16mm camera. The furniture was constructed with animal bones and latex. The walls were covered with animal blood from a local slaughterhouse. literally, one of the producers drove all around Houston looking for a slaughterhouse, looking for pieces of animals or decaying animals to add to the house to make it for the furniture and all the bones and blood you see on the ground. A lot of the tools were real, and so was some of the blood, which actually, when Kirk's being chainsawed in half and about to be eaten, that was actually a real chainsaw, and Toby Hooper, right before he starts the scene, he's telling Kirk, or whoever played Kirk, try not to move, we don't want you losing anything. Because, again, it was a real-ass chainsaw. And honest, in an interview, Toby Hooper literally says, nobody got away from production without at least a few injuries. And they were all pissed at him completely until later on when they finally cooled down. I mean, you came at them with real power tools. I mean, even the hammer that they put into Grandpa Sawyer's hand, it was completely real. And most of the blood in that was actually real blood from, I believe, one of the production hands or producers, because he slit his hand just so they could have real blood, because the blood on Grandpa's clothing was actually drying in the 100-degree heat.
Sounds like the more gruesome this movie got in the production, the less gruesome it got in the movie.
Right. So guess we're getting on to the opinions, which I guess I'll go first since I suggested this movie. I'm supposed to be the leader of this channel. Honestly, and I've said this many times tonight, this movie was pretty tame for a slasher movie. I mean, yeah, it's from the 70s. I mean, after this, we finally get movies like Halloween, Friday the 13th, Hellraiser, Nightmare on Elm Street, and compared to those, this is at the level of at least not The Shining, Psycho. And Psycho wasn't even as gory as this. This movie, I mean, a lot of it was worse than just off-screen kills, which is a lot of times what they do in slasher movies. Here, it's just, either they black it out, or dim the lights, or they get the kills over way too quickly. I mean, even looking at the dinner scene, I mean, that's one of the most iconic scenes from this movie. I mean, yeah, I still find it funny, I still find it very creepy, it's just, it looks really tame by today's standards.
My opinion, I kind of thought this movie was pretty boring throughout the entire film. The kills were lame. Like you said, this movie was pretty tamed. And good half of the movie, nothing even happened until like the 30 or 52-minute mark or something around there. And that's like past half the movie. Like, it's just very boring to me, honestly.
Right, and this is supposed to be one of the most iconic movies ever. It was it's mainly the one that started us off on the path that we are now of all the gore and special effects. Here, I mean, it had a lower budget than Halloween. I get that they didn't really have that much money to go off of, but also, I kind of think part of the problem is, and no offense all you who are watching who are older than 40, the 70s were kind of a bunch of pussies. I mean, look at this. They banned this movie because it was too gory or too violent, and look at how they treated the women, and look at other horror movies. Look at Psycho. You guys were too afraid. You guys gave it a PG rating just because there was a flushing toilet. I mean,
I got a few examples. There's one movie called Watership Down. If you guys haven't heard of it, I suggest you go check it out. It's a pretty interesting movie. It's about a bunch of bunnies and how they all have to escape their land because it's being taken over. And there's a whole bunch of blood, guts, gore, death, you name it. And it got a PG-13 rating.
Or, let's go off from Psycho. Bay of Blood. I think it's one of the oldest slasher movies ever. It came out before this movie, and it's supposed to be very fucking gory compared to this. I don't even think it got an R rating. But compared to this, I've heard that is like taking a nuke to the whole continent. I mean, the whole country of Japan. It's just... I mean, I was so excited to watch this again, and after watching movies like Friday the 13th, which we reviewed a few months ago, doing Halloween, doing You're Next, this is so boring. I mean, I'm still kind of a Leatherface fan. I like his character, but just, it's not the perfect story for him.
I think there's one word to describe this movie.
Go ahead. I mean, again, it's got some good parts. It's got that famed camera shot of Kim walking to the front door, just that low shot of her body as she's walking. I mean, you can't go to a horror fan and them not know that part of the movie. Or again, they've got the very creepy dining room scene, which I really like. I mean, yeah, again, it's tamed compared to other movies, but it just makes it really fucking creepy. But the rest of it, it's really boring. It's filled with all these scenes that you don't really care about. But it does also get us to hate people like Franklin more, where he's kind of an asshole throughout most of the movie. I mean, I get he's like the voice of reason for most horror movies, where he wants to leave without the other guys because he's afraid something bad's gonna happen. They need to go down to the gas station and call for help. But he just does it in a very crappy way, and one of the most known set lines in this movie is, "Oh, come on, Franklin, it's gonna be fun! Ha ha! Ha ha!" It's just, it looks so stupid! And I hate Franklin very much. I mean, I'd rather watch the final girl more, his sister. I'm ranking this.
Have we covered everything there is to cover about this movie?
We've covered as much as we can. I'd honestly say, at the risk of being hated, I'd give this movie a 7.5.
I'd give it a 6.3.
Yeah. I'd have to agree with that. I just wish they could.
They had so much potential and ruined it in one movie.
I mean, don't worry, it's gonna get worse when we watch next week's movie, which, ladies and gentlemen, will be Texas Chainsaw 2. Or, as I like to call it, Texas Chainsaw Inside of a Radio Station. Or you could also say Leatherface on the Air. So yeah, we'll see you guys next Monday, maybe Wednesday, depends on when we'll be able to do it. We're still trying to get the other videos out, which I just sent them to our new editor, Pablo, which I trust him right now more than I trust Miros, the one that was supposed to take the job before Pablo. So yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and any final words, Derek?
Sleep with your eyes open tonight.
Because we'll be coming for you. And maybe we'll steal your skin. Good night, goodbye, and this movie has been saved by the Film Exorcist and Derek.